On this one here, we have an order of 350 milligrams by mouth 3 times a day for 10 days. So make sure you understand what TID means, BID, what do they stand for. Make sure you understand that. We have available, so you're given this drug, you're given a medication label. So you could be given a label. Make sure you're able to read labels. You could be given this label that says that in this is available is 125,000 micrograms per 5 milliliters. So I'm going to do this in multiple parts. The first question I want to ask is how many milliliters will you administer? So basically, how many milliliters in one dose will a patient take? So that's question 1. So 1, we're going to solve for milliliters per dose. Well, when I look at this, I look at the order, I have milligrams versus micrograms, and we know that those units will not reduce with each other, but we do know there's a relationship. What do I know? I know for every 1 milligram, that is equivalent to 1,000 micrograms. So I can go ahead and change this to milligrams or this to micrograms, whichever one you want to do. I do know if I change this to milligrams, my numbers are smaller and easier to work with. Or I can do one long dimensional analysis. So let's do one long dimensional analysis. And like I said, you could do it in parts. Question 1, I just want to know how much they're going to take per dose. So I'm going to take my order of 350 milligrams. I'm going to put it over 1. If you want to use formula method, you can. I'm just using dimensional analysis. And I'm going to take my available. Now guys, you could take the available first or the needed conversion first. That doesn't matter. What matters is what you put on top versus bottom. And the reason why I say don't matter is because it's multiplication. In multiplication, we know that 2 times 3 is 6. I also know that 3 times 2 is 6. So this is why I said it didn't matter if you did the available now or if you did the needed conversion. We're going to need them both. So I'm going to go ahead and put the available. Well, what are we solving for? We're solving for milliliters. Milliliters. That means that needs to go on top. And this part goes on bottom. Guys, be very careful not to leave a 0 off. That will mess your answer up. Okay. So I'm good so far. I got my order. I got my needed or my available. Let's add in the needed conversion. The needed conversion says that 1 milligram to every 1,000 micrograms. If milligrams on top, then that means it needs to go down here on bottom. And of course the micrograms on bottom, so that means this one needs to be on top. And now I'm going to take this red marker and I'm going to see if I can reduce the units and be left with what I want. Milligrams, milligrams, micrograms, micrograms. My main question here is how many milliliters. I put per dose because I want you to understand that we're just trying to figure out what we're going to take in one setting instead of the whole day, because that's the first question is just how many milliliters will you be administering. So we have 350 times 5 times 1,000. And then we're going to divide it by 125,000, which gives me 14 milliliters. So that's how much they're going to take in one dose. So that's question 1. Question 2 says, how many for the whole day? How many milliliters in one day? So if we're going to determine that, I know that 14 milliliters is how much we're taking in a setting. We got to go back to the order. The order says we're going to do TID. We're going to take it 3 times in one day. So I'm going to multiply this by 3, which we know is TID. T dot I dot D. So 14 times 3 is going going to be 42 milliliters per day. See, this is per dose. This is per day. Be sure and label correctly too, guys. I should have went ahead and put that per dose up there a while ago. Question 3. How much milliliters are they going to take for the whole total time that they are prescribed? The total time is 10 days. So I'm going to take my 42 milliliters per day, and I'm going to multiply it for the next 10 days. And what does that give me? That gives me 420 milliliters that they will be taking, or you can say a total, taking for the next 10 days, or however you want to word it, for 10 days. Now, guys, this could have been TID, could have been Q.8H. That's every 8 hours. There's 3 sets of 8 hours in a day. That would have gave us 3 doses, or 3 times to take a dose. Could have been Q6H, which would have been 4 times. So make sure you know what all those mean so you can understand what the question's asking, and it will make it easier to solve.